Hey everyone, welcome back. I am here with the mixed media kit for October, and it has quite a bit of mediums in here. Some Nuvo sparkle spray in cocoa powder, 4 Dina Wakley paints in peacock, tangerine, eggplant, and lemon, and a bottle of diamond Stickles. Now I made this right here just to make it a little bit easier. There's the 4 Dina Wakley paints, peacock, eggplant, lemon, and tangerine. The cocoa powder spray, which I sprayed it here and then watered it down so you can see how it can fade out. And then I just put a little drop of that diamond Stickles right there. I figured making a little card would make this easier to see what the colors looked like spread out, even though in the bottle you can tell there isn't really any change at all between the wet in the bottle and the dry right here. So these, you can say, are very true to color on what you're going to get on your projects. And then the project to get you going is this wooden Dreamcatcher from Kaiser, the Kaiser Dreamcatcher Lucky Dip large Dreamcatcher. I get, okay, there we go, which has the Dreamcatcher and 3 feathers to go with it, and then it has this clear filament, I guess it would be. I can't call it string because it just doesn't seem like string or thread, so I'm just going to call it filament. So this is going to be the first project I'm working on, and I'm going to give that wood a good coat in some white gesso. This gesso is from my stash, but I'm going to give it a nice coat of that white gesso on here before I start adding my colors. Alright, real quick, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with the Dreamcatcher base. I didn't want to leave it just with the white gesso. I didn't want to necessarily paint it in any of the Dina Wakley paints, and I didn't necessarily want it as dark as that spray that came in the kit, the cocoa powder. I didn't want it quite that dark. So what I decided, and I tested it out here real quick, I decided to mix it in with some white gesso, and that really kind of lightens it up a bit. And so I'm just going to mix it up in this little cup I have here, and I'm just going to brush it on the Dreamcatcher and all of the leaves and make sure everything is nicely coated so that it's very much like this one here. So I have a pretty good chunk of gesso in there. And this, because this is such a dark brown, I am just going to give a couple squirts in there. It does not take a lot. You know what? I'm going to do it the way I did it on that leaf over there, or on that feather over there. I'm going to mix it as I go on my board. I don't like how this is mixing up in the cup. So I'm going to put what I have there already down there. And I need to get a new knife out in case I need it. And then I'm just going to go and spray there. And this is what I did on this first leaf. I just mixed it as I went along. And that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to coat my Dreamcatcher up here, mixing it as I go along, and then brushing it on. Alright, I have everything coated and things are drying, and you can see the difference between 1 and 2 coats, plus some of it may have a little bit more of the spray in it, plus that is still wet. But I wanted to talk about my feathers. Now I have plans for the top third-ish of the feathers using the Dina Wakley paints, but down here at the bottom part, you can see my brush strokes from this coat, and they just go straight down. So I kind of want to follow the curve of the feather so that my brush strokes look more like that. Now you can see on here how my brush strokes are following the curve of the feather to make it look even more feathery. I guess that's the best I can describe it. And here you can see. So I didn't worry about whether the color was even. I just dipped in and just try to follow that curve like so. So now you can see the difference between straight up and down and having those brush strokes follow that curve. Alright, I have been working on my feathers, and so on this side I'll show you. It's really a very simple process what I've been doing, and I just start with one color, in this case the tangerine. And I'm not worried about being very symmetrical on any of it. And then I went down to some lemon. And I blended them as I went along. And I did brush out and down so that it would follow the curve of the feather. Then some peacock is next. And then finally, some of the eggplant. And that was it, just some light painting, not all the way down. I might add some more touches, but for the most part this is what I am going for. And I may, on these, I think I might bring it down all the way to like that. And if there's places that need a little bit more blending, I can always go back and add some colors. Alright, I've only done the one side, so you can see where I'm going to be headed on this side. It will be, you know, close to that, so that all together this should look something, even though it doesn't quite all show up at once, like so. This is where things are headed right now. So far real easy. The only thing I've used for my stash is some white gesso. I used it to lighten up that spray and turn it into a paint, but it still did retain that sparkle. And I know I did it on here, but as I was looking at it, I just decided I wanted to cover up everything with some of that Dina Wakley paint from this month's kit. So I'm going to get on it. And for up here, I'm just going to go right around how I want everything, or where I want everything, I should say. And there you have it. I cleaned up what had kind of squoze through. Oh, I missed a spot. I didn't clean it all up. And so there, now I'm just kind of cleaning up what had squoze around, because this slid on me more than I had hoped it would when I was working on the other side. So I'm just kind of, there we go. So there's that. And here's this side that I just did. So I'm going to find a place to set this so it can dry. And then after it's completely dry, the way these are completely dry, then I will come back and continue my work. Everything is dry now. And you could leave it just like this if you wanted, but I'm going to add some of that diamond Stickles that came in the kit. And I'm going to start up here, and actually, let's see, maybe I'll start in the center. Maybe I'll outline. I think that's what I will do. I think I'm just going to kind of trace along the edges, or along the shapes, the cutout pieces, cutout parts, and the edges. Just like this. So I'm going to do that all the way out. I'm going to let this side dry, and then I'll do the other side. But I'm also going to add some of the Stickles to my feathers here. And I was trying to think if I want to do that. And I think I'm going to brush it on, but not completely cover it. I think I'm just going to add some along the center here and here, and it's really very light. So I'm just adding some along the center, and then I'm just going to take my brush and feather it out. And so it just sort of spreads it about kind of thin, just enough to kind of give some sparkle and shine in a little bit of the areas. So I'm going to finish the one side of all of these last two. Then after everything's dry, I'll turn it over and do the same thing to the other sides. Everything is dry, so you can see how that Stickles just gives that extra bit along the edges right there. And I have tied on my feathers using that bit of filament that came with the kit. And I didn't do anything fancy. It's just knots on top of knots, just regular standard knots. Pretty sure it'll stay. Added a little bit there at the top for a hoop. And now my Dreamcatcher is ready to be hung up, and if it gets hit, or put it by a window, gets hit by the sun, it'll really get all of the shimmers going from the Stickles, the bit that is in the gesso that was mixed with the sparkle spray there. And real easy, just painting and adding some accents, and you have a very colorful piece that you can hang up. So, thank you for joining us here. I hope that this gave you some ideas of what can be done with the items from this kit. Gave you, some ideas of how those colors that came in the kit can be blended together. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can get notified of other projects or the reveal kits at the beginning of the month. And I will see you again soon.